full medical education.
What time someone taught you about life?
Do you want any more water?
No, I'm good, thank you.
So, you were saying
About trauma. Certainly, a lot of the people, the internationals met there, a lot of them who'd been ex-army, they'd gone into the army for a reason. And I think there's definitely a comorbidity with, joining armed forces and things like addiction, mental health. Sometimes the military deliberately targets, vulnerable groups. Other times they do it to try and escape out of a situation, get that meaning, get that discipline, get that feeling of self-worth. And, so a lot of people in Rajava, they'd come from all kinds of complex backgrounds with different needs, and a lot already had trauma before they got there. But one of the benefits of PTSD and PTSD is you can just shut off when you need to and go on that autopilot mode, disassociate. And obviously disassociation is kind of like a spectrum, so you can fully disassociate, which is completely out of body, and then there is that autopilot when you're present but only half present. And then it's really interesting. And a lot came back and struggled to readjust into this society, which, comparing society they've just been in, which is so, all the hugs from all the mums in the communes, all the laughter of the comrades, sharing everything together, the jokes even in hard times, that love between each other, the commune to society, to a country where they were being penalised by the state, to, back to the 9 to 5, back to, being mistreated by employers, by, potentially family, that was a horrible and very difficult transition for a lot of people who came back. There were a lot of relapses among those a lot of them who struggled with addiction. There were a lot of relapses in terms of mental health, going back into those depressive states. I think we all came back a lot stronger in a lot of ways. But yeah, it was a really difficult adjustment for a lot of who came back, and that also spurred me to study psychotherapy, so I could provide, again, more empathy, but in a more structured way, and empathy in a way that's better, that could hold that. And yeah, due to my childhood experiences of being around addiction and my own personal experience with addiction, I felt better suited in that realm. Because again, that's on the rise with the cost of living crisis, with everything that's going on. So does addiction spike, because going on, so the psychotherapist Gabor Mate, he talks extensively about addiction and trauma, but also addiction generally. And it's not a personality failure. He argues it's not genetic. It's a behaviour that fills a need that wasn't present during those formative early years. So the psychotherapist Anna Freud, who was the daughter of Sigmund Freud, talks about, the key stages of age, like 3 to 4, and then 4 to 7, I think it is, and 7 to 13. I've gotten a lot of the study now. And if stuff isn't given to you in those ages, you'll then seek out and crave it later on in life. So that heroin is often called the love drug, because, that feeling of warmth, it's almost like a hug. I've never tried heroin, but a friend who said, and that's often been linked to absence of attachment in early childhood. And that's not to say that every heroin addict, didn't have early childhood attachment, but generally, as Gabor Mate talks about, it is more prevalent among heroin users. Similarly, with a lot of the women that I've worked with gambling addiction, a lot of them have used it as an escapism from abusive relationships. A lot of them have care duties. Gambling is hugely on the rise with women, especially working class women, with all these bingo apps.
You got to have some hope as a way out.
Yeah, and the cost of living crisis, quick way of earning money. Often women are working 2 jobs. Like I said, a lot of the women I see, also have caring responsibilities for children with special educational needs, children, family members. So it's just escapism. I can just switch off. all my worries and then just focus on this sparkly out. And when you actually look into gambling, the whole industry is designed, every colour is chosen specifically because it's a colour that instills warmth and, you know, excitement. There's no accents. Like even like saying nicotine, you're taking a deep breath. So people with anxiety having that deep breath of when you inhale, it, as we know, deep breath resets your brain and body.
Breathing exercise.
It is in a way, yeah. Because before we used to see the brain as separate, the body as separate. Now we know they're all intertwined. So another psychotherapist, I'm going off on one.
It's all very helpful.
I've forgotten his name, but he wrote a
You're
brilliant.
in as good a position as anyone I could think of to go off on one about this.
I love going off on one anything. Give it to just whether it's Anyway, he wrote "The Body Keeps a Score," and he wrote it's a fantastic book. I think you would really like it. He bases studies of soldiers returning from Vietnam, and he realised that a lot of trauma was stored in the body. So, like with some of my with some of my clients who have become addicted due to trauma, that physical movement, especially when they're having a flashback, is really useful, or somatic therapy to bring them back to the present. So, Rachel asked them, is there a smell that you really, really like that brings you happy memories? Like for me, it's talcum powder, because when my baby brother was born, you know, I love that smell of talcum powder. So I carry, like, if I'm having a stressful day, just have a sniff, and it brings me back to present, and it calms my body down. I have less flashbacks, etc. Because our brain and body is now connected. So yeah, definitely read The Body Keeps the Score. It was really good. Yeah, because everything that happens to us mentally also happens to us physically within our bodies. Stomach aches, for example, people with anxiety often get like chest pains, etc. So it's really fascinating all this stuff that's going on.
Everything.
Yeah,
People always say stress is the biggest killer.
it is.
It's everything.
And it's also very lonely and alienating, and you know, it's sometimes heartbreaking doing my job, not just in my job, but outside of my job, because I'll be on the tube and I can see signs of stress, of, you know, sadness, of worry, of, you know, rage in people's faces, you know.
You gotta be able to, because that's the problem. I know you have your handle on it, but it's the problem. People that care a lot have to a big degree, and sometimes you just need to be able to turn off and just focus, because otherwise they're out.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's why, you know, everyone needs like self-soothing techniques and healthy coping mechanisms. But like say with addiction, and Gabor Mate is very pro this, like if someone has had such a traumatic life, like with some of our clients, they're not going to stop the addictive behaviour. It'd be wrong to say so, or encourage them, especially immediately. If they need whatever that addiction feels to get through the day, if that's the only thing that's going to get them through the day until you've built up a good social network, which is probably the most important thing in recovery, having a really positive social network around them, activities that they enjoy, that will lift them up, start building coping mechanisms, resilience, things like that. Just to remove the addiction is not going to solve anything. In fact, you could be causing more harm than good. So yeah, if someone needs that cigarette just to get through the day, obviously it'd be better if it was something more positive, but they should be allowed to smoke. Or, you know, you could go as far as, you know, if someone needs that shot of heroin, the Scandinavian model is really good because they have like literal, like almost ice cream vans that come around with like clean needles, pure stuff, so they're not shooting up.
If they don't get their shot, then they'll get sick, literally. So
Yeah, but also like, you know, they're giving them pure methadone, or, you know, it's not cut with all kinds of stuff. The needles are clean. They're also being checked up on, see, like do a welfare check, see how they are, so they feel like they are being looked after. That's so much better and productive a model. If we had that in this country, it would transform.
If you get to that level of comfort and support, then you're like, why do I need this? I've got the real thing.
Yeah, and you could also be signposted, like, you know, into different services, like especially if you develop a relationship with the people. There is some slight positive change in the UK, like they do purity testing at festivals, which I think is fantastic because people are going to take stuff ultimately, but you can at least reduce the harm that stuff will take, or the harm that behavior, engaging that behavior. Because it's not always, we obviously the big main addictions are alcohol, drugs, cigarettes. I mean, gambling is hugely, it's on the rise, it's hugely damaging. That can affect whole generations, can affect health, mental health. Um, Pornography, again, can affect, make people really alienated, can affect physical health as well. Love, there's a behavioural, so there's obviously the substance and there's the behavioural. Not a lot of attention is given to the behavioural because it's very hard to study. I know so many people are addicted to literally to love or love. They just jump from relationship to relationship. They're obsessed with this idea of love.
Yeah, people have it in some like the sex addictions, there's
Yeah,
like dependencies, and they all
sport,
come out of the same thing.
exercise, work, anything could be addiction, food. But it's feeling a need for that person, so you need to find out why that need is not being met. What happened? What's happened that they're craving that need? What the whole is? How we can fix it together? And usually it's no one answer, right? Like I said about signposting and social network, the more there is around someone to lift them up and hold them, the more likely the recovery rate is. And this is what I think we need on the left. The more we are together.
Everyone around us needs it.
Yeah.
No matter what they call themselves, if they
Yeah.
had that, we'd be on the same page.
No matter the ideology. Yeah. No matter what the ideology, because ultimately, beyond left, right politics, I just want to see people happy, and that's all I've wanted.
Once we see that, we will be beyond all of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's about fighting for, regardless of whatever label you want to stick on it, because I get accused of being like all sorts, like oh you're anarchist, oh you're a communist, or you're socialist. I'm not. I just want to build a better world because it can be built. I've seen it. I've seen it in action. I saw it in action in Rojava. I've seen the positive impact it had. In Rojava, you rarely ever got people with mental health issues, for example. PTSD, yeah, because of the bombings. But in terms of like other, like bipolar, I'm not a clinical diagnosis, but there's clear signs of, schizophrenia, bipolar, etc. Hardly ever saw, especially given how deep I was working in the communities.
You never saw that kind of stuff.
Rarely ever did I see people experiencing the huge mental health crises that I do just walking down one high street in Britain.
And these are people, some of whom have been moments away from having.
Absolutely.
Some of them have seen most of their families massacred. Yep. They've lived under ISIS. They've lived under bombings from regimes all across the world, including their own. And you're telling me they were still more comfortable.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they had symptoms of PTSD, but like schizophrenia, like I said, bipolar, emotionally unstable personality disorder, psychoactive disorder, all the disorders, anxiety, depression, was so much lower there, the presentation of them, whether it's very hard to get any statistical data, than just walking down a high street and when you see people clearly presenting with, severe.
Walk down any high street, you'll see a presentation of any and every single.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a societal issue. It's a societal failing, and we can build it. I've seen a better society be built. I've seen a kinder society be built. Why can't we have it here?
Absolutely. I don't know what more that can be said on that. I was going to ask you what's your hope? What would you say for that? But you've said it.
Yeah. You can accuse me of lots of things, being an idealist, being hopeful, being too idealistic, but I've seen it be done. And yes, Rojava is not the UK, but the UK has to find its own path in order to create that. And I believe it can, especially with developments in technology. We could have something up and running tomorrow if everyone just got together for their communities, for this country, just got together.
And we need them now more than ever. We're falling more and more apart from each other.
It's becoming really scary in the UK, and it's becoming ever increasingly heartbreaking seeing what people are going through. And I'm just wondering when's it going to be crunch time? When are people finally going to be at their limit?
I think people get to the limit and get past it every day, but what people need more than anything is to hear this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which is why it's so important. Like, you're such a dear friend to me, but I'm honored, honestly.
I'm honoured to be a dear friend to you as well.
Not like obviously I'm honored to be a friend, but just everything you said, like.
Well, I mean, I didn't do it alone, and I think that's key. I was surrounded like Shahid Baran, like all the people I met over there. The mums, dads, and the communes. So I'll just pick up from where I left off.
Yeah.
So yeah, the mums in the communes, the dads in the communes, internationalist, Arab, Armenian, regardless of whatever background or whatever gender, it was soul to soul, all coming together to lift each other up. I think it's just, do it alone. There's been lots of emphasis on that. Actually, no one could do anything alone. We're not built to. Human society originated from and survived due to cooperation, and we need each other. And that is how I did it. I didn't do it alone. I did it with the love and the support of so many people that I still owe to this day and will always remember.
Yeah. Well, that's we keep them alive through all the lessons they taught us, all the love they put into us. We just keep it alive, keep it pushing on.
Yeah, pass it on. And one thing that I know that they wanted me to take away, and I thank you so much for giving me this platform, is the uncles and who'd seen everything, the dads and the mums who'd seen everything, the grandmas. They always used to say, like, don't ever forget about us, don't ever forget about Rojava. And they didn't mean just politically, they meant don't forget what you've seen here and take it away with you. That this is proof. Yeah, and this is proof that we can create a society that works for all, that holds all, and meets the needs of as many people as possible. There is an alternative. We don't have to be living in a society where so many people are degraded, left out, pushed out. And there's been real positive changes in the UK in some ways, with the unions, with organisations like Acorn that are building power in our communities. That have been real push forward. Community centres, more power in the community centres. That is showing the way that by building power within our communities, we can start taking back what's ours.
Absolutely, that's what we need to do.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to say?
No, just like I said, thank you.
No, I'm glad to say thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's been such a privilege. It's honestly been a privilege. Like, it's a privilege to be your friend, but to hear all this from you, because it's like you said, all that stuff from all those people, those fucking amazing people, heroes, and you just taking it all with you. And I just hope that I can spread it out.
I hope that I can spread it out as well.
I'm not going to stop trying.
Yeah, I hope I can spread it out as well, and take it with me wherever I go, and try and do my best for it. Yeah.
That's what we can do.
Yeah. Seçava. خلاص.
خلاص بو.
Come on, you take başı. That was quite.
كل من نبش كنجي از لروجبا كل من بس جيبو جيانا لشعر اما پیشوا نظام پیشوا 4 سال لیور کردن
No, karmancı te pul başı. Teşaş fikir.